And you're on Q Talk America. This is the Joe and Babe Show, and we thought we would open things up a little bit different than we normally do because of the very surprising and very, very sad week that's gone on in this country from many different parts of the country and, of course, in many different parts of the world. So we thought that it would be appropriate to observe a moment of silence to honor the people that died and passed away and were tremendously injured in Waco, in Boston, and around the world, because there are so many bad things that happen every day, every week, that appear to go unnoticed in the media, and that was also came to light this week as well. So we thought we would have a moment of silence. And welcome to the show. We actually decided to not even put the music on in the beginning.
Right.
I'm Jody Ganzik.
I'm Babe Kaler.
And this is, if you're keeping track of it at home, this is episode number 114. Can you believe that? I can't believe I've done with you and without you 114 episodes. We want to remind you, of course, that we are brought to you by our friends over at TLAgay.com/QTalk. You can get 10% off of your entire order of just about anything over there. That's on top of any other discounts, and that ends on the 30th of April. So go ahead and get your shopping on, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on with that later on in the show. And we thank them for their support. We thank all of our different sponsors that we've had throughout the years, whether they're just little affiliate programs or people like Phoenix Pride and Aunt Rita's Foundation and whatnot.
Right, the big guys.
The big guys.
Right.
They make it all possible.
Yeah, I was surprised today. Pull up and there's cars everywhere. So someone must be meeting somewhere around here, either Pride
the gate
or
was open,
Ion
so,
yeah, there's cars everywhere outside today. So how's your week been, honey?
Overall pretty good. You know, we've got I continue to have a lot of different variables, even though things have in some ways settled down in my own personal world. There are other things that are changing. It looks like I may be moving, not very far, but maybe moving out of the apartment complex that I have lived for nearly 5 years now. I thought about that.
Okay, well, where are you going to park your car?
Oh, there'll be a place to park and a place to charge.
Charge, okay.
In fact, it'll be way cheaper.
Okay, just checking. Just
charge up 65 cents.
All right. Yeah,
fact,
compared to filling up my car, my truck, my big Dyke-mobile, okay?
$65?
No, you ready?
More than that.
Yep.
85.
89. 89.45. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I told Victoria, it's like, okay,
That's like half of a car payment.
Yeah, I'm pulling out my scooter again. I don't know where the twins and Aaliyah are going to ride.
Put them in the backpack.
Okay, right. But something's going to have to change.
You get your little sidecar.
Yeah, you know, I love my truck, but that's getting ridiculous. I mean, in all honesty, who knows? By the end of the summer, it could be $100.
You get like a little sidecar, and you wrap everyone up in bubble wrap.
Right, and put them on the side of my scooter. Okay, yeah, get a scooter for the kids.
Don't drive that at home, please.
Right.
You didn't hear that on Q Talk.
You didn't hear it on Q Talk. No, but I posted this the other day saying that made me think about there was this cartoon that was just so appropriate because I'd been on my kids all day the day before and pulled it up, and this mom was standing there and this little kid was pulling out all the stuff out of the cabinets, and she said, "Timmy, I'm not going to tell you another time. The next time, I'm going to knock you the fuck out." Okay, and I was like, ooh, some days, don't you just want to say that to people, especially little bad kids? But I love them. But yeah, I thought that was cool. It was like, okay, Timmy, This is what's going to happen. Pull some more pots out.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty bad.
Wow.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad. There's been some good things going on in the middle of all of the craziness, though. But
There have.
Yeah.
Who was it? I know I put this on the list somewhere. Someone got gay marriage. Who was it?
oh, it was who was
damn
that
it.
did that? Was that the Advocate that had that story? No. No.
Yeah. Oh wait, New
Oh,
Zealand.
New Zealand. That was
New
it.
Zealand and all those wonderfully hot people from
Yeah.
down under.
Okay.
Well, actually, not Australia. Okay, not because there's a rivalry between those two countries.
Really?
It just as in I found out that there actually was a big rivalry between South Korea and Japan.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
But apparently, this was actually a number of years ago because I mistook someone's accent for Australia, and they corrected me, and they're like, "Oh no, it's New Zealand. We're not part of those Australia."
And they probably did not so nicely either. When they
No,
did
it was
huh?
they were okay. They were okay
Okay.
with it, but it really is. I mean, they're kind of
They
like
sound.
they don't hate each other, but they're just like it's kind of like a school rivalry, U of A versus ASU or something
Right.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that can get pretty intense too. But that is congratulations to New Zealand.
Congratulations. I mean, it
You
seems
know?
like every other week lately, it seems for the past month or so, there's a new country.
Okay. And what's happening in the United States of America? Thank you.
And
yeah. One more? You got another one? That's it. That's the perfect one. I mean, we continue the fight. We continue struggling. So many things are happening progressively, but
Yes.
it just seems as
It
though we're
just
moving so
seems-
slow. I mean, think about, the Supreme Court still, putting a delay on
well, we'll
on
hear about it.
anything.
I
Yeah.
mean, in June, and then you have the whole. Where's the sound effect for it?
Yes. What is it? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Gun control.
Right. That was interesting. I heard that people were in front of Flake's office yesterday,
I was invited to that by someone.
and someone posted some pictures of the event and the activities that actually put them up, and they were removed from the site that they were on, showing the people
Really?
from
Now,
removed. They had tagged it in Flake's site
okay.
on the whatever Facebook page or
Right,
however
right,
they could
right.
do it, and then they went back to see what responses were, and
They were gone.
They were gone.
But were they posted to? They weren't posted to Flake's site though, were they?
I think they were.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
But
the
it was
problem is if you post it there, then they can take
could-
it down
yeah.
if they want.
Yep. So
They
it
should
does.
repost it in their own little thing and then just tag
then
them.
tag
then
them.
they can't have it removed. Well, they can, but they have to be really bitchy about it.
to get it done. Yeah, I just think it's really interesting that we're, gun control, gay marriage, everything right now is just up in the air.
These are they're up in the air. These are hot button, relevant, obviously news items. Speaking of that, the phone lines in the chat room are open. So if you're listening live at this point, please get in touch with us. We want to know what you feel. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we're going to cover today. Least of which, obviously, is Boston, Waco,
right.
just everything that has been going on. So please, you can give us a call at 888-791-9294 or join us in the chat room, and that's at qtalkamerica.tv. Even though it says, it says that's the email address. You can email us at that address, but you can go to the .com or .tv for the website.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit about people's feelings on the aspect of, we know what was going on in Boston, and then last night to say that it's finally over as far as capturing
It wasn't
the
even
two.
just last night. This was, I just want to interrupt you, as I always
Go
do.
ahead. We work well together.
We do. We like
can do
finish
that.
each other's
okay,
sentences.
right.
This was another example of which I found out about the Boston bombing and the Boston lockdown, not through traditional news. I found out about it through Facebook because
Social media.
started seeing these bizarre postings, and I was like, huh? I guess especially yesterday morning, because I went on Facebook. It's one of the first things I always do. And And I just started seeing these photos, which I thought were just memes. Oh, the streets are empty. I'm like, oh, well, maybe
Right.
they're having they're having a remembrance, a moment of silence. And then it's like, no, like manhunt or the whole Boston is entirely locked down. I'm like, they what?
Right.
And it leads, this is one of these multi-angle discussions. In fact, I'm curious to actually go back and listen and watch what they said on the agenda, because even though they don't really cover this type of stuff, it's news and it's kind of not really political, but I bet that they were discussing it, and they'll probably discuss more of it next week in terms of the whole lockdown. It's sort of one of these things where we live in this strange time these days where we don't want the bad guys to get away.
Right.
They obviously, the mission was a success it was, I think, half successful in capturing them alive because one of them was killed.
Both are dead.
Wait.
Both are dead.
Oh, that's new to me now.
Yeah. The one that they
got last night.
The one that they got last. Well, no, I'm
Wait.
sorry. You're right.
I'm like, wait. Did I lose
sorry,
my mind?
No,
I
you're
think
right.
I looked
I'm
at the
sorry.
news this morning.
Right. I'm sorry.
One of them's dead.
One of them's dead, and the
other
other
one
one
was
probably is
wounded.
close to dead.
Oh, okay,
because
because
he had
his
lost
injuries.
so much blood.
Right. In the boat.
Right. And they aren't sure whether or not that was from a bomb that exploded on him either, or from the excessive fire, which people thought it was the cops firing at him. It was him in that rapid gunfire at the end, shooting at the police.
It's just, and the reason obviously they want them alive is to really find out what, because this transpired, the marathon bombing of which was, it's an absolute tragedy. It's an absolute, and I have to agree with them, when you sort of label something as a terrorist attack.
True.
I think that when you have someone who attacks out of the blue, and generally the victims were civilians, I think that would be classified as terrorism because you are striking terror into the hearts of people.
Right.
And it was the worst one since 9/11. But it begs the question of, again, what was the motive behind this?
Right.
This is sort of strange. It wasn't apparently Al Qaeda. It wasn't. I mean, without getting into the background, to me, it just I saw all this and it all unfolded, and my first question is why? What have we done now? I mean, obviously, there's plenty of people who are upset with this country and the what we do around the world, and we could argue that for and against for days on end and never get to a conclusion. But I guess here's the question I have for you is, what do you feel about, there's a lot of people who said, well, this whole lockdown thing, they shouldn't have done that. And then there's there's the part about not reading him his rights and things like that. And what do you feel about all this? It's kind of like, are there, in special or strange circumstances, should there be, again, bugs flying around the studio?
Right. Okay. The lockdown thing, I think it was probably the smart thing to do because they didn't know where he was after the events the night before.
Right.
His brother's dead. You all have already killed an officer in a off-site location. Besides for the bombing on the day of the Boston Marathon, you didn't know where they were, what they were doing, and what would come next. So I think the lockdown aspect was a good idea. I think then waiting him out to see what was going to happen, they had to make sure that there wasn't another bomb there. I don't know if you saw the pictures, but where the boat was, where the second brother was found.
Right. They were concerned about that.
Yeah, it was so close to that family's home. If the old man had went out to have a smoke, okay, he wouldn't have noticed that the guy was in his boat.
Right.
That was a tip-off. Everyone should have been looking and knowing what was going on. But he stepped out of his house after they said, okay, the lockdown is over. You can come out. You can do this. And then within 30 minutes, it was back on. And that was because at that point in time, he climbed up the boat, saw that there was blood, and saw a body in there.
I was on my way back from the West Campus of ASU We were doing kind of a tour thing yesterday, and I was on my way back and listening to the news, and it was unfolding at that point, saying, nope, well, we want everyone to stay back inside,
Right.
and it was happening, live.
So and the thing of it is I do give it to the news reporters that they took caution in giving a delay because they were not sure what was going to happen.
Right. It was something similar to that, which was here a few months ago with that shooting and the lockdown
Off
and
of the
whatnot.
reservation.
That's right.
Yes.
Was it No.
Yeah, it was just off of the reservation when the young man jumped out of the car and they didn't know what he was going to do and he shot himself in the head. Is that the one you're
No,
talking about?
the one with the office building and the law
okay,
firm
I
thing
remember that. Okay.
that happened here. But they were asking people and citizens and everyone and news media, please do not broadcast where we're going. Please do
Right.
not do this because we're trying to catch the people. And it's a balance these days because you have to have a balance between let the people in blue, let the boys in blue do
Right.
what they're supposed to do. And don't start tipping off people because we now live in this completely uber-connected society where it could be, at the end of the day, if you do it wrong and you give out information in real time, it does become a Hollywood movie.
True.
And people, as I was reading about what had happened late Thursday night or early Friday morning with the sort of firefight thing that was going on, that the suspects were throwing bombs at the police and there was this shootout. I'm like, what? This is not Die Hard.
Okay.
But it was sort of Die Hard,
right?
And I'm like, this is getting out of control. This is ridiculous.
I'll tell you, and you try to make a light moment out of everything, but I was thinking about in all of this, and it's funny, but it's not funny. It was almost MacGyver-ish to think that they used a darn pressure cooker.
And I mistook that originally. I thought they used a crock pot.
No.
I'm like, it wasn't a slow cooker. It was a fast cooker.
Yeah, it was a pressure cooker. And it's like...
I thought, why did they do that?
Well,
why not
because
just
they
put it in
knew
a damn
that...
pot and pan?
Right, they knew that it would cause the most damage. Because have you ever used a pressure cooker?
I have, yeah. Because I guess they're able to withstand a lot before they blow up.
They blow up, yeah.
So they let the bomb sort of cook.
Brew. Yeah, sort of brew. And of nails and
all
shrapnel
it
and
was
everything.
Terrible. That's why they cause so much damage. And this is why parents raise your children right.
Okay.
I just have to say that. And again, we don't like to get too political and ethical and things like that. And don't introduce your sons and daughters to organized religion or religions that have extremist views, because I just feel that this is not the case of everyone who believes in religion and everyone who does those kind of things. But, these are examples of people gone wrong.
Okay. And the thing
It's
of it is...
It's an example of failed...
I think it's like
world.
One of the relatives of the young men that basically said, and
turn yourselves in, right?
turn yourselves in. That was stupid. That they had distanced themselves already. And one of the incidents that happened was when they say that they saw the one brother back on campus, in the past couple of days, as if nothing had happened.
Yeah.
So it's just teach your children well. That's what we want to say on
teach
that.
your children well. And if you do that, they'll probably turn out okay.
Right.
There's always a chance.
As we talk about that and talking about teaching your children well, I'm going to take you in another area as we're talking about this whole incident. It was an op-ed piece that you was on the show notes from The Advocate. And regarding Westboro. And we're talking about teaching your children well. Somebody did not teach these people, okay? They didn't.
Yeah. I'm getting more and more convinced, and there was something that came out a couple weeks ago about these guys. I'm getting more and more convinced that the Westboro church and maybe I'm just being naive and finally figuring this out. I am more and more convinced that they're not even about the religion. They're not about God. They're not about anything. It is only attention grabbing and money.
Right.
I am almost sure of it at this point.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, the church's latest move right now is to try to blame same-sex marriage on the Boston, to connect that with the Boston bombings. And so this op-ed piece that said that basically that Westboro might be at the end of its work, and the thing with the in big bold letters said, "Dear Fred Phelps, God is over you." Okay. All right, over you and all of the stuff. We even had protesters here.
We did. I didn't really see them, but I think they got blocked by a bunch of drag queens.
They did.
Oh,
actually,
no, it was the sisters.
Right.
The sisters
right. So
got blocked.
So, I would like to know what people think about this, cult-like church that's like picketing funerals, talking about going to Boston. And, people are suffering all over the world, but they're trying to connect that to same-sex marriage, which, Massachusetts was one of the first areas to actually
04, I think.
Yeah, that, passed, issues to allow same-sex marriages. And then they're saying now that it basically, that's it. Can you see it? That's the one. But they're, you can't tie that in 10 years later to the Boston Marathon.
No.
No.
It's what? Not
work.
even the Catholic Church and the Pope responds to these things that quickly. Mm-hmm. It takes them years to say, well, this was connected and so forth and so on. These guys are just about it for the money, and I think, I don't even know. I mean, obviously it's the conservative people who keep giving it to them, but I think someone somewhere somehow is going to, and I'm in favor of any church type organization that declares themselves a church and has the tax write-offs and whatnot, that really is basically a hate group, should have their 501c3 nonprofit status. It's probably not 501c3, but anyways, their nonprofit and non-taxable status
taken away,
revoked by the IRS, because they have no reason to be. They're really a for-profit organization masquerading as a church thing, and you look about it.
Taking care of Phelps for the rest of his life.
They didn't even.
What they do.
Yeah, they didn't even care. They didn't even really do anything when that Rainbow House went up,
right?
Or was repainted. They just were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, but in that op-ed piece, it was one of the things that stuck out to me is that after the Boston Marathon bombing, Phelps and his church basically tweeted, quote, "In light of today's events, I must ask again, how is that fag marriage idea working out for you, America?" End quote. Okay? And so for me, it's like, okay, you're talking about, and they showed a picture of the initial bombing aspect with the blood, the gruesome picture and everything. And you're talking about, a graduate student who lost her life, a woman, Crystal Campbell, who was a caterer, and then an 8-year-old boy, okay? And you're putting this out there towards another segment of society that was no way even involved in that. Plus, there were over 170 others who were injured, okay? I think, as you said, they've lost their little bit of clout that they had.
They're good. They're only relevant because they make news headlines.
Right. And
that's the
and
only
I think
relevance
that that's what I think that people need to realize, and I think they're probably going to lose a lot of their followers, because one of the other things that they said in that report when they sent out that tweet, Phelps said that he didn't know really what was going on, but that God had sent the bombs in a fury over fag marriage, and praise God, he wrote. Okay, again, where's that picture? How did you pull that up? It says,
I went to the
okay, God is over
you.
Can I make that bigger and see if I can get that? Nope, I can't get it either. But anyway, over you, Fred Phelps. We are. Everyone is. We need you to move on, find somebody else to bother, because we aren't even concerned with you anymore. You know, just move on. Move on, Fred Phelps.
It is the example of sort of what does happen and what can happen in this country, because, you know, at the end of the day, the country was founded on freedom of speech, freedom of XYZ, and a lot of people would say that and sometimes freedom of speech goes too far. But I think what happens in reality is that all things eventually come to balance themselves out. It may take some time, and it may take a lot of anger on the other side of things, on the other side of Westboro.
Right.
And it may take a lot of anger to say, you know what, we're done with these people. They've had their free speech. That's great that they can have their free speech and say what they want, become a hate group. But at the end of the day, someone's eventually got to, for lack of a better term, shut this organization down, because existing basically as a hate group, and I don't really know what else. I don't think they have like Sunday services. I don't
Who knows
know
what they have?
I mean, I tried to read up on them, and I never found like a service schedule. You know what I mean? Because I actually was trying to like, well, what if I wanted to go to this Westboro Baptist Church? I don't think they actually have services.
Oh,
They're
Lord.
just, their services are hate. That's all it is. And so eventually things will come to balance, and it is people like us discussing this very issue, putting it out there, saying, you know what, you need to contact your representatives and get the action, get the ball rolling, or create one of these change.org petitions, whatever options and tools are there for you to exercise your free speech to get this movement, to get these guys punished in some way for doing what they do. And everything, there is always a reaction to, there's always, you know, every action has a equal and opposite reaction, usually. If I throw this through the window, Clayton will get mad at me.
Yes, he would.
And probably a few other people as well.
Right.
If I throw my iPad at the wall, I will get mad at myself.
Yes, you would.
Because my iPad will be damaged.
Okay, we're going to
Anyhow,
go into
we're
right
gonna
now.
move on.
We're going to get off of this subject because we could keep
We
talking
could
about
keep talking
it.
the whole damn day.
But one of the things that I want to throw in there right now that we covered briefly was on top of all of this, and I just saw a post that my wife had put on
Your wife always
Facebook.
posts some very interesting things.
Okay, she said, so let me throw something out there. When Tucson, Aurora, and Newton happened, we wanted stricter gun control, and the Second Amendment activist said, let's not rush into this. We have to protect our rights to bear arms. Greater American community reacted with scorn and derision and bent over backwards to demonstrate how the Second Amendment didn't contemplate today's word. Okay? Now we're suggesting the Miranda rights over the young man that's still alive from the Boston Marathon bombings and all of the other things that have happened. How can those who are in favor, the ones in favor of gun control, are also in favor of suspending Miranda rights?
They always seem to be on the wrong side
Right.
of the...
So it's just sort of freaky and scary. And when you think about all of this, and that's one of the supposedly God-given things that you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to
have.
do and have. And I see, and I don't know the Miranda rights like by heart because I've never been read them, thank God. I hope it never happen. I hope that never happens. But, you know, it goes something like, you know, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to an attorney, you have the right, you know, I mean, anything you say can and will be used against you, you know,
Right.
things like that. Which there was something in this whole
Mess?
the whole mess that said something like, well, anything that they say can be used against them in court. I'm like, well, that's already in the Miranda right. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. But it doesn't, I understand that this is a special circumstance, but at the end of the day, he's still, yes, he did something wrong. He broke the law. Yes, he broke quite a few of them. And yes, okay, he's worse. He's a worse criminal because it's a terrorist act and whatnot. He still broke the law. He still,
Right.
there's basic things that he still did, and I don't understand the real reasoning for. I understand the reason for the lockdown, and congrats to Boston, you got it. He got him. We're good to go.
Right.
And hopefully that he survives so we can find out what the reasoning was behind it and find out if there is a wave of these things coming. Because my only concern with this, and it wasn't,
Copycats?
well, there was a lot of concern in the early part of the 2000s and after 9/11 because you had a lot of sort of propaganda that was put out by Al-Qaeda that really never came to fruition. They said there's more planes coming. We have all these attack plans on every possible place in America and around the world. We're going to basically wreak havoc everywhere and ruin and just delete the whole planet, basically.
Right.
That never really happened. There were a few things. There was the anthrax and whatnot. People have drawn conclusions between that and the rice and whatever that's pronounced. But my concern is that either there's copycats or that there's some new semi-organized wave of these things. Someone else brought up to me, this was someone I met someone really cute this week.
Okay, then.
Anyways, don't know where that's going, but at least it's a new friend. Anyhow, something else in terms of not just the Miranda rights, which again he should have been read the rights, or if they have time, maybe they should read him the rights, so that's correct. The concern also is, why is it, even though it was unique, why is it that this got so much media attention here? And there were a lot of people who complained that things in, say, Iraq, there was a car bomb, there was a bombing in Iraq that happened, I believe, the same day, killed way more people, got zero coverage.
Right. So, again, just to sort of throw that out there, if there's anybody in the chat room or anybody online wants to talk to us about it, think about that. Do you forego the Constitution for the protection of the citizens in order with the Miranda right? And so that just sort of throwing that out there. And I was seeing some responses that the wife got here. And one of the first ones was from one of our favorite people, and that's Ray Bradford.
Let me guess.
Okay, can't you tell? Mr. Ray, we love you. All right, let's talk about
Let's
TLA.
just mention our little sponsor. We'll throw them up on the screen real quick so we can do that. If I can have
10% off of your order at tlagay.com/QTalk and use the code QTalk.
QTalk.
And that's 10% off additional sale items.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that's in your order. And, they have a lot of different things, whether you were commenting on the video thing last week, it was lesbian cinema, and then it was what? Homo pop?
Homo pop.
Homo
yes.
pop. It's like pop rocks. No, I mean, it's like,
Quit it.
Anyways, no, there it is. Homo pop. It's going across the screen right
that's
now.
That's it. I know.
In lesbian cinema.
That's
together,
great.
they go great together.
Right.
Anyways, because lesbians are homos too.
That's it.
Right?
That's
so
it.
anyways,
That's true.
TLAgay.com/QTalk and use that promo code QTalk when you're
Right, because
checking
you
out.
can find lots of stuff.
All kinds of things, including like
stuff.
underwear and swimwear. We know it's time for
Yep.
summertime,
I know.
especially here.
Boys and girls are already out poolside.
That's right.
Even though our front pool, which is the heated pool,
Mm-hmm.
more people at the front pool right now because it is still, the water is still just a little chilly.
Right.
Just a little.
Yeah, because it actually got, we've had a spring.
Right.
Which
we
has
did.
been great, actually.
Right. We did.
And it's going to start kind of climbing now.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you this.
It's not bad.
What's going to happen is because graduation weekend, the week prior to graduation is when we get hot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it starts. Okay,
That's coming up.
Okay,
I know it because I'm in this educational world now.
Right, I know. And that's the thing about it is usually by graduation
May
weekend,
15th-ish.
yeah,
Which is right before Memorial Day weekend.
We get heated up big time. Big time. Okay.
Turn on the griddle that is basically the sidewalk.
That's it. For
you can
real.
make some. I think we should. I don't know. I thought about
No,
that. We
there's
should
two
fry
things.
some eggs at some.
No, see, that was
it.
a question the other day. It's like people who live in very hot areas. What is the number one thing that aggravates them that they hate to hear? And it's actually made me think that they must have been talking about the Southwest because it's a dry heat. It's really not as hot as you think, or you can fry an egg out there.
But you know what? People have done experiments actually, and you can actually on like the hottest day of the year, if you
Right.
get like blacktop and you get a nice frying pan, I think you can actually fry an egg.
Actually, I saw someone bake cookies last year. One of the news stations
Really?
did it. I think it was Channel 12 that they actually baked cookies
On the
outside
sidewalk.
on a
Maybe it would take
yeah.
a little bit longer, but
Little
you
bit
know,
longer,
you
but
get
they
some
did
like
it.
a magnifying glass. You kind of just
No, and they kept checking on it through
Okay.
and it was I mean
Sometime.
literally they were
probably
like
pretty tasty.
yeah, they were pretty good.
Well, the place that I
Chocolate
might be
chips.
moving into is going to have solar panels, which usually those get pretty hot. So I wonder if you could just kind of like,
Flip them. Do it there. Just flip it over. Just flip it over.
I'm sorry, my landlord. Yes, I'm making breakfast on the solar array.
Right. Isn't that something?
That's just really nerdy. Anyways, okay, so if the week hadn't been bad enough, we then start hearing, and I heard about it through Facebook and not through traditional news, because I only check the traditional news sources, Google News. I sift through a bunch of different news sources on various topics
Right.
in the morning, and then I'm done, and everything else is social media through the rest of the day, because I just don't have any reason to really go back there. So then Waco. Explosion. I initially see explosion at plant, and I thought, okay, that happens like all the time somewhere. I mean, it doesn't really happen all the time, but you think fertilizer plant,
Right.
unstable, could burn down. You know, it doesn't fertilizer factory just doesn't sound like a good idea, anyways.
True.
But then you hear it flattened the town. It was a nuclear bomb like explosion.
Right.
Then you have, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, the very disturbing video.
I didn't see the video.
Okay, there is a video. If you want to see it, see it. If you don't, I would probably recommend not seeing it. There is a video that was actually, because the plant was burning. It was on fire for a certain amount of time. And it was in the late evening. It was sometime during the day. And someone was sitting in their truck. And they were, as everyone else does these days, taking a video of what was going on. What they didn't know was that it was about to explode. They captured the explosion. It sounded, not to say to sound like a bomb went off, it did sound like a bomb went off. And then you hear sort of the aftermath of children screaming, "I can't hear, my ears are ringing." And, you know, everything went black there for a second. Somehow these people did survive because they did post it to the web, to the internet. We don't know who those people are, but the video went everywhere, and I only watched a few seconds after the explosion because I didn't want to know what else happened. But it is becoming like when Boston was asking for people's cell phone videos and photos, because everyone is a journalist now,
Right.
just like me watching those trains last night.
Uh-huh.
It's just we see everything now. We can
Right.
see everything, and you almost have to sort of edit your life in terms of what you're going to expose yourself to, because you can see things that go. I mean, we all watched even 10 years ago. We watched the World Trade Center fall.
Right.
50 years before that, there wouldn't have been if say 9/11 had happened in the 1950s. There would not have been video footage.
Right.
It would have been a different experience for the rest of the world. They wouldn't have actually seen it happen. But now we see everything happen live. And it's recorded and it's played over and over and over and over again. Our hearts, of course, go out to the people in Waco. I think there was a lot of, there has been less news on the Waco. I'm sure there's plenty of news about it. The Boston took the precedence, and I think that's going to come back down. And you know, you have to go searching. What I like about Google and Google News, you can go search in depth for what you want,
right,
and bypass kind of the headline-ish order. So there is, I'm sure, a tremendous amount of news coming out of Waco, and they're still, of course, recovering because part of the town was flattened.
Right. And it was interesting when I first heard it, and it was like, and someone made a joke about it before realizing the extent of the damage, was that, okay, if you're really thinking about it, there was flying crap everywhere. So not funny, but funny.
Not funny,
okay, but funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then people were saying it was, what was it, X amount of years almost to the day where the cult thing in Waco had happened. And
right. And
Waco
they tried
just
to
doesn't
tie,
seem to be very...
Right. They tried to tie Patriots Day into the Boston Marathon
they tried
thing.
to try everything. Everyone's got some kind of
something about it.
I'm still interested in the why of the Boston Marathon. Why right there? Why? I guess it's the finish line. Why then? Why at that moment? Why? You know, why? I mean,
why?
Why?
We don't know why.
They had moments. I was looking up because I had to go to Tempe this morning. Pat's run was this morning.
Yes.
Pat Tillman's run. They had a whole bunch of things on the website. Please do not bring backpacks. Do not bring this. Do not bring that. They will be, taken away from you. It's like, oh my goodness, now we have to protect the races.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something a little more lighthearted about that. And for those of you who know me, and you know me, okay? But today is 420, okay? For nobody that didn't figure that out, 420. So this
those of you who know,
you know,
the more you
okay. But 420, okay, it has a reference. Most people, a lot of people know what it is. But there should be today, because it is 420, marijuana celebration. Okay, but because of the Boston Marathon, security is an issue with this celebration this year, because that's usually a large gathering of people to have a
Is
big
it in Boston?
party.
Or just, no, it's just
In
today
general,
everywhere.
right?
Okay.
But they were talking about after Boston, and you were talking about this is like, all the way around. It could happen in Denver. They could have had one here in Phoenix, but I don't know. I hadn't heard about it. But all over the United States, 420 has got that little catch with it.
Well,
okay,
right.
And for those of you who don't know, it happens to be with around the green, the marijuana, the medicinal or not.
Little plants.
Okay,
that
those
make
plants that
can
make
feel better.
feel better are medicinal. And anyway, so they're telling people, be careful. If you see something, tell somebody. But you got to think about it. You got a bunch of stoners, okay,
They're not
ready to
care.
have a party. I tell you, it would be an interesting situation because, especially now, they're saying recreational pot is now legal in Colorado. So in Denver,
When did they do that?
a few years back. So they're expecting, the organizers from last year, the crowd was like at 50,000. They're thinking this year it could be up to 80. Okay.
That's just amazing because, there's this cat and mouse game between the states and the feds. It's like, the
Right.
states are going to legalize it. The feds are like, no, it's still illegal. So if you
Right.
get caught, you're screwed, but the state might. And I don't do it.
Well,
So,
see, But it's interesting because last year was a one-day celebration. They changed it to 2 this year, but they're putting notes out there to people
Saying,
to be
"Please
aware,
be-"
and be cautious
And
because anything could happen.
Yeah. And they've.
Large gatherings,
There
anywhere.
was a lot of and that's kind of that happened. I think ever since 9/11, they just expected that these things were going to happen, and so they want people to be careful. And you
Right.
just need. They weren't expecting these. They're just cautioning it. The other problem, and this happened after 9/11. We were all. I think everyone was on edge, but I think eventually, especially after 9/11, people eventually had to make the decision. We're going to just go back to our normal lives, and people, there's the question of a lot of people have said this, and things like the Boston bombing concern me to a certain extent these days because I'm now older and I'm just not the same way that I was when I was younger. Some people would say, well, okay, why has, terrorism like it exists in Afghanistan and Iraq and a lot of these other countries, why has it not shown up in the USA? No one can really answer it because it's one of these sort of universal type things. You just don't have the type of thinking, I think, that exists here, that exists in other countries where people just want, people get so mad, they get so angry, they just want to blow stuff up. They want to cause mass chaos. They want to do these things, whether it's religious-based or ideology. It just doesn't exist. But you do have the people now either coming here directly or after so many years, because these guys in Boston were here for a while, I guess, in the country.
Right.
And then they do these things. It just concerns me. But then again, it's kind of like I think that these are probably going to be more isolated incidents and not. I don't think there's going to be a whole wave of these things happening. I don't know. I get back to the why, but that's just that's the question that goes on in my mind.
Taking that to another aspect too, and they were trying to say another connection between 420 and Boston was the fact that the older of the brothers seemed more interested in blunts than in learning. So it's just sort of interesting. Just want to throw that out there. Just a whole new, and for those who are celebrating, happy 420.
Happy 420.
That's what I want to
Whatever
say.
you interpret that.
Whatever you,
like
however
to
you
do.
think it, do it. Do it. That's it.
That's kind of what
That's
you
it.
feel when you perhaps get your
After
420
this,
on.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. Let's see.
Oh, I
I
want
wanna
to go ahead, dear.
No,
Go.
what were you going to say?
WNBA draft.
Let's get to that in a second.
Okay.
We talked about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I went to, with some friends of mine, I went to Feast on the Street.
How was it?
Large.
What did you eat?
Fry
What
bread.
did you not eat? Okay.
Well, actually, the challenge was, and I think it was better organized perhaps than because I heard, we did a sponsorship of the food truck event that
Right.
they had in Scottsdale like a year and a half ago. That was apparently not well organized because there were so many lines. It was insane. This was advertised more as, what I thought was, it was like, there's going to be a whole bunch of people just making food. You're supposed to bring your own stuff and have like a picnic. This really was more about, there were some vendors that were, how do you grow things and organics and stuff. But there was like a cajillion food trucks.
Cajillion.
Like,
Okay.
it was literally, this was from about, like a block or two north of Roosevelt all the way down to like ASU downtown
Wow.
on First Street. And they did put together and they had breaks in it so that you could actually, cross. But literally, they stuck a whole bunch of tables end to end. Longest like dining room table ever.
Wow.
Really cool. We actually stopped at, because you had to kind of decide like which food truck you were going to go to because you're going to wait in line for 10, 15 minutes at least. Fry bread.
Fry bread. Okay. Did
I
you
had
have
like
it with everything?
Well, what I did was I said, I want to kind of conserve instead of, because my friends were like, well, we're going to get a fried bread thing for dinner and we're going to get a fried bread thing for dessert. I'm like, you're going to be rolling home in a wheelbarrow.
Okay.
So I got just a corn dog for dinner.
Okay.
And I had a sort of like a hot fudge minus the ice cream sundae fry bread thing.
Oh my God.
One word, messy.
But
Second word,
good.
second phrase, lots of napkins.
Oh my.
Third word, wash it down with a Mountain Dew. Anyways,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, and then go on the couch.
My favorite fry bread place, right over there on 7th Avenue.
Fry bread house.
Okay. Okay. And I've not had one yet
That was not.
that was not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
and
think
it's
you,
like,
you just can make up your own deal over there.
right.
I mean, it's
exactly.
Really, it's really
good.
great.
It's really good.
And you all tell that we love food.
Okay.
Even though you wouldn't be able to tell them.
Okay, because yeah, somebody said the other day, "Oh, you're so thin." I said, I have on."
When are we going back to Lolo's?
Okay, that one was a discussion because saying that, I told someone else here recently that's never been to Lolo's, but they called me to tell me they saw this car and on the back of it, it said chicken and waffles, Lay's chips. Now, we've talked a little bit about the new Lay's flavors that are out
that whole
there.
thing.
Okay. So I told them, since they'd never had chicken and waffles,
You can
that
put
they
chicken
have
and
to
waffles on
go
a
to
chip.
it is good.
Okay.
You taste
You taste.
the maple syrup,
Right.
and somehow underneath there
Chicken and a waffle.
there's some chicken. If you haven't tried them, people, Lay's chicken and waffle chips. I have already voted. That is my favorite of the new 3 ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's a garlic and cheese, which is too garlicky. There is the sriracha, so
Which is-
basically hot pepper.
Right.
Okay, but it's so hot, it's not really flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
But chicken and waffles, if you haven't picked up a bag, and you have to sort of search for them, okay, because they've got them in like the big bags now, not just like the regular $1.49.
Right.
Okay, I had 5 bags in my cabinet. I have 1 left. It's bad. It's as addictive as going to Lolo's. That's a scary thought. Yes, we
That's
love
Babe's
Lolo's.
little
Okay,
moment of-
that's it.
of joy.
That's it. Going from there, though, to WNBA draft, for those who have not heard, that we got the first pick, best pick Phoenix Mercury, Brittany Griner. I think that's how you say her last name. And she's coming out of Baylor. And she
Okay.
was their top scorer there. She gave a wonderful interview recently that people are talking about right now because she's still young, coming out of college, and she is out, openly out. And I give her props for that. And I think it's a generational thing because we know that there are people in all areas of sports that are still struggling. But generationally, our new babies that are out there and doing things are out and proud. And America just better get used to it. But I want to give her congrats, first of all, to the Mercury for landing her. Yay, Phoenix Mercury. And for Brittany, welcome to the city.
That's right. Welcome
That's
to
it.
Phoenix.
That's it. Yeah.
I wanted to say, and I know he's going to do a big show. I don't know if it's this week or the next week. I think it's the next week because it's the 30th. It's the last day of the month. And technically, he's beaten everyone else because he likes to give us a hard time that we just take breaks.
Right. Right.
Clayton McKee, I think this was actually this past Tuesday where he actually had Dion Brown from Katie instead of Katie. A year. He's done 52 shows, 52 weeks, non-stop,
Right.
as only Clayton
Can do.
could do.
Right. The Energizer Bunny.
So congrats, winner.
Yes, he
he
is.
likes to use that
I'm
sound
looking
effect.
looking in this camera here. My tattoo looks really good there on the. I'm like, wow.
Why don't we look at that up close
Okay,
then?
'cause that looks-
Babe's tattoo.
It looks pretty darn good there. I mean, and that's like almost 15 years old, and she still flies and everything. Yes, she's my fairy goddess, but she looks darn good right there. I want to get her colored in a little bit more, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe
Send
not.
us an email and let Babe know
Yes,
if
'cause
you want
I-
the tattoo colored in or
Colored
not.
in, right? Because I
Joe
am
and
getting a
Babe
new. I'm getting a
at
new
Q-Talk.
tattoo. I've already decided.
Oh, when is that going to happen?
Within the next month. It's placement right now
Okay.
is where it's going to go. And for those of you who want to have an idea of what it is, go to my Facebook page, and it is my background picture, and it is oh so me. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because when you see it, you're like, dang, that's you, babe. That's you. That's it. That's it. Look, we covered a lot of stuff.
We really did.
We really did.
These. You know, sometimes I like it, even though we haven't really actually had a guest like forever. There's been so much to talk about lately,
Right.
That it's just, you and I can just banter
Can
back
do
and
it,
forth. and
right.
it's some of the fun ones. Sometimes I kind of like the fact of just not even stressing about guests. You know, we've always been about. We've always been about ourselves. No, that doesn't sound right. We've always been about, you know, if there's anyone interesting that we want to talk to, we talk to. We don't, as you all know, for people who've followed the show for nearly, can you believe that we're going to hit 3 years in June?
Wow.
It scares me, actually. But it's great. And I have only really interviewed and talked to people that I really was interested in talking to. I don't, we don't just interview people for the sake of interviewing them.
That's right.
But Babe and I collaborate. We talk about who we're going to have on, who's kind of news making, who's not news making, who's old news making that we can go talk to. You know what I mean? And we have our regular friends who come back now and again, like Dixie Flatline, and we need to have Lynn Ames back on.
Actually,
She would
I
be
was
really
just
good.
thinking of that recently. She's
Lynn
finishing
Ames
up. Let's get a shout
and
out to
good
her
old-
because
She's
she
always-
has
she's
a
always posting
deadline
things on
for her latest book, and she has to get it to her people
her
tonight.
dogs are so cute.
Aren't they cute?
I just always see her posting things, and their dogs are just so cute.
Yeah, but she's on deadline, so we want to give her a shout out today and say good luck. Get it in by midnight. We know you can.
Aislinn, you know, we're going to have some of the old folks back, and we're going to talk to also some of the people from around the Q Talk America extended family, and that's on the syndicated side. GSP Radio is kind of on hiatus for a little bit. Jim Versteeg is apparently applying to grad school.
Wow.
Congrats to him. That's he's up in New York. want to remind you, one of our newer podcasts, the Seder Sphere out of California, Fly the Frisky Skies. They're still running. And Ace London's going to reboot with a new show coming pretty soon.
Right, and two of our newest shows that are doing really well and getting a lot of attention, and that's the one with our new comedians with Gene and Working It Out.
They'll be on in 2 hours from now, 4 o'clock.
Right,
Pacific.
And also our new show with
Ophelia Buns and Bryce Matheson.
And Bryce, yes.
And they're working through putting on a show. We know that that they're working it out a little bit as well.
Right.
And everyone takes time to kind of get going.
But I think they're going to get their feel.
They're going to get their
groove
feel.
Is going.
It's you know what it is, and I like having the variety. I've always said this, that I love the variety, and I think when people come to Q Talk America as listeners and viewers and new members of the family, we always welcome you. That we just have a little bit of everything for everybody.
Well, what I think too is it takes us back. And I was looking at the comments on the Q Talk page when you put the old sheet up there, or the old sign, not the many voices, but what was the other one that you've got on the Q Talk page now?
I don't even know.
And everyone,
the background thing,
right? And everyone is so psyched about that, and it's because of the variety.
Yeah, there's a new one coming. I just have been lazy.
Yeah, we got to get a new picture though, but because you got new hair, I got new hair. I got to have it touched up. It's getting a little brown again. It looks good though.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I like the lighter color. I think really some of my friends gave me a hard time even months ago when I had it done. That wasn't this bright, but I like when in the pictures I just like what I look like better with this lighter color. The other one is it's not black, but it's just so dark.
Dark, right.
That I think this
I like that.
It goes with our lovely wall backgrounds.
Right. Right. And for those of you who have not been into the studio, you can also make arrangements through that as well.
To go come hang out. And
Joe and Babe at QTalkAmerica.com.
It's on the screen.
Yep. And let us know if you'd like to come and sit in studio.
You can in studio. Well, let's put it on the screen somewhere.
Right.
What's behind door number 3 or window number 1?
Right. Studio A.
Studio A. Yeah.
Right. You can come and sit in and chat with us and watch while we do the show. And so check us out. What are you looking for, honey?
I'm looking for the one view that has both chairs, but apparently I didn't include that there.
Okay.
Oh well.
Actually,
there's the quad view, and you really can't see it there either.
Okay.
Oh well, whatever.
Anyway, we do have Studio A as we are in Studio B right now, live with the Joe and Babe show. And our time is almost up.
It is almost up. So we want to remind you that we're not going to be here next week.
Nope, because I have a birthday party.
She's got stuff to do, and I got stuff to do. So we're going to be absent, but we'll always have a view. When we're absent now, because we got the video thing going on too.
Right.
You will not see us live on video. You will hear, of course, some repeat of the audio of one of the most recent shows.
True.
On the audio stream. And of course, that audio stream is 24/7. So there's always something. There's always people might be like, well, you guys just repeat everything. No, actually, we download as the new episodes come through. They're put into the new system, so there's always something new and fresh depending on when you listen to it. And all of our syndicated shows get updated on a weekly basis as well. So there's always between the syndicated and the other shows, there's like 14 shows that are always there's something going on.
Something going on all the time, right?
We're usually trying to add one syndicated show every few months, so there's always something. A new series or something for that. And the other thing we want to mention, and this is going to be some new initiatives we're going to be doing. If you have an idea, if you have a podcast, actually, like they're going to be interviewing, they might show up, maybe they might join the network. Working It Out is going to be interviewing the Phoenix Movie Bears on their show today.
Really?
Which is a group of bears who like movies and go to movies. And they also apparently have a podcast called the Movie Bears Podcast. So I'm gonna be like, you guys want to like join the network? And I'm guessing that they had never been to our studio before, so that we may act as the board collective. We may assimilate them into the Q Talk America collective, but we'll see. So, but otherwise, we got to put on the music and get all that stuff. I got to move that stuff over to the other iPad here so we can do that. There it is. So otherwise, I'm Joe DeGanzik,
And I'm Babe Kaler.
and we're here every week except for next week, most of the time at 1 o'clock Pacific. And you can always catch us there. Catch us on our own Facebook page as well as the Q Talk America Facebook page, Twitter, Google+, iTunes. You know how to find it because it's all at qtalkamerica.tv. So we'll say have a great afternoon if you're listening live or whenever the heck you're listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Next time.
All right.